The sky above Prime burned orange and red. Ships fell from the clouds like dying stars. Ambassador stood at the tall window of the council chamber and watched his world end. Behind him, the other council members argued. Their voices were loud and full of fear. Some wanted to surrender, some wanted to fight, but knew the truth. They had no army, they had no weapons. They were a peaceful people who had never known war. And now war had found them. The Empire had arrived 3 days ago. Their ships blocked out the sun. Their soldiers marched through cities without mercy. They had tried to talk. They had offered trade, resources, anything they wanted. But they wanted only one thing: complete control. Turned away from the window. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he looked at the ancient communication device in the corner of the room. It was old, very old. They had found it floating in space 200 years ago. The device came from a species called humans. According to old records, humans were a young race from a small planet called Earth. But those records were ancient. Most believed humans were extinct by now. The device had one purpose. It could send a distress signal across the galaxy. They had kept it as a historical artifact, nothing more. Council leader Myra noticed looking at the device. She was old and wise, with silver patterns on her blue skin. She shook her head slowly. "That device is useless," she said. "Humans are gone. They were a primitive species. Even if they still exist, what could they do against them?" "We have no other options," replied. His voice was calm but sad. "Our allies have abandoned us. The Galactic Union refuses to help. They will enslave our people within days." "So you want to call ghosts for help?" Another council member laughed bitterly. "Humans were known for violence. Even if they answer, they might be worse than the—" Walked to the device. He ran his thin fingers over its surface. The metal was cold. Strange symbols covered its side. Human writing. Nobody could read it anymore. "I would rather call for help and receive nothing than watch our children die without trying everything," said. The room went silent. Outside, another explosion shook the ground. The lights flickered. Myra closed her eyes. When she opened them, there were tears. "Do it," she whispered. "May the stars forgive us for our desperation." Press the activation button. The device hummed. A small light turned green, then nothing happened. "It does not work," someone said. "The humans are dead. We are alone." Stared at the device. His heart sank. Perhaps they were right. Perhaps humanity had vanished long ago, and this signal would travel through empty space forever. But far across the galaxy, on a small blue planet, alarms began to ring. Admiral was eating dinner when her communicator buzzed. She looked at the message and dropped her chopsticks. In 30 years of service, she had never seen this alert code. Nobody had. It was a Distress Protocol 7. Ancient, almost forgotten. It meant someone somewhere had activated one of humanity's old beacon devices. Stood up and grabbed her jacket. She was 52 years old with short gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. People called her the Iron Admiral because she never showed fear. But tonight, her hands trembled slightly. She reached the United Earth Command Center in 20 minutes. The building was already full of officers running between stations. On the main screen, a star map showed the signal's origin, a planet called Prime. Distance, 47 light years. General met her at the door. He was a large man with a serious face. "This is real," he said. "Someone activated one of our beacons. We sent those out 300 years ago during our first exploration missions." "Who are they?" asked. "Unknown species. The signal includes basic data. They are called peaceful civilization. No military capability." Paused. "They are being invaded." Looked at the screen. "Invaded by whom?" "The Empire. We have limited information, but they are known for conquest and slavery. They will not survive long." The room went quiet. Everyone looked at Admiral. She was the highest-ranking officer present. The decision was hers. Thought about her grandmother. The old woman had told her stories about ancient Earth when humans were alone and afraid, when nations fought each other and almost destroyed their world. Then humanity had looked up at the stars and found purpose. They had sworn to never ignore a cry for help. That oath was written into their very laws. "How fast can we assemble a fleet?" asked. Blinked. "Admiral, we do not know these. We do not know what we will face. Should we not study the situation first?" "Someone asked for help," said simply. "That is all I need to know. How fast?" Straightened his back. 37 ships can be ready within 6 hours. More will follow. "Send them all. I will lead personally." Officers rushed to obey. Messages flew across Earth and its colonies. Ships powered up their engines. Soldiers checked their weapons. In 6 hours, the largest human fleet ever assembled hung in orbit above Earth. Stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Guardian. Around her, 36 other warships waited. Their hulls were black and gray, built for war. Humanity had not fought a real battle in over a century, but they had never stopped preparing. "Admiral," her communications officer said, "all ships report ready." Nodded. She looked at the star map one more time. 47 light years. At maximum speed, they would arrive in 18 hours. She hoped they would not be too late. "All ships," she said into the fleet channel. "This is Admiral. Someone called for help. We answer. Jump on my mark." The engines hummed. Space bent around the ships. Mark. 37 human warships vanished into the void, racing toward a world they had never seen, to help a people they had never met. Because that was what humanity did. On Prime sat beside the old device and waited. The city burned around him. His people screamed in the streets. They marched closer every hour. He did not know if his message had reached anyone. He did not know if help would come. But for the first time in days, he felt something strange in his chest. Hope. It was small and weak, like a candle in a storm, but it was there. Somewhere across the stars, maybe, just maybe, someone had heard them. Captain Ho stood at the front of his ship and watched the stars stretch into lines. Hyperspace travel always looked beautiful to him. The universe became a river of light, and his ship was a small boat riding the current. He was 34 years old, young for a captain, but Admiral had chosen him to lead the vanguard. His ship, the UES Thunder, would be the first to arrive at Prime, the first to make contact, the first to face whatever waited there. Behind him, his crew worked quietly. They were scared. Ho could see it in their eyes. None of them had ever been in real combat. None of them had ever seen an alien species face to face, but they trusted him. He could not let them down. "Captain," his navigator said, "we exit hyperspace in 10 minutes. Ho nodded. He pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands, this is the captain. We arrive soon. I do not know what we will find, but remember why we are here. Someone asked for help. We will give it. Prepare for anything." He released the button and took a deep breath. His mother had always said he was too brave for his own good. Maybe she was right, but bravery was all he had right now. The minutes passed slowly. Then the stars stopped stretching. Normal space returned, and Ho saw Prime for the first time. It was beautiful. Blue oceans covered most of the surface. Green and purple forests spread across the land. White clouds floated peacefully in the atmosphere. It reminded him of Earth. But then he saw the ships. Hundreds of them, dark, ugly vessels covered with weapons. They surrounded the planet like a swarm of insects, warships, the enemy fleet. "Status report," Ho said calmly. "I count 342 enemy ships," his tactical officer replied. Her name was Min, and her voice was steady despite the numbers. "Various sizes. The largest appears to be their command vessel." "Any response to our arrival?" "They are scanning us. No weapons lock yet. I think we surprised them." Ho smiled slightly. Good, surprise was useful. The rest of the human fleet emerged from hyperspace behind him. 36 more ships appeared in perfect formation. They were smaller than the vessels, but their hulls gleamed with advanced technology. Admiral's flagship, the Guardian, took position at the center. On the planet below, Ambassador heard the alarm first. He was hiding in an underground shelter with other survivors. They had taken the capital city. Most of the leaders were dead or captured. Only a few others had escaped. A young burst into the shelter. His eyes were wide with shock. Ambassador, ships, new ships have arrived. His heart stopped. Reinforcements. No, unknown design. They just appeared from nowhere. Pushed himself up and followed the young to a small window. He looked up at the sky. Even through the smoke and clouds he could see them. New lights in the sky. Ships that looked nothing like vessels. The beacon, he whispered. It worked. But his hope mixed with fear. Who were these newcomers? Friends or another enemy? The galaxy was cruel. Help did not come freely. In orbit, the commander stared at his display screen with confusion. His name was, and he had conquered 37 worlds. He had never lost a battle. He had never been surprised. Until now. What are those ships? He demanded. Where did they come from? Unknown, Commander, his officer replied nervously. The database has no match. These vessels are not from any known species. Leaned forward. The human ships were small but strange. Their design was different from anything he had seen. Clean lines, efficient shapes, and something about them felt wrong, dangerous. Scan them thoroughly, ordered. Find their weaknesses. The scans came back, read the results and felt something cold in his stomach. The human ships were heavily armed. Their shields were strong. Their power signatures were massive for their size. These were not merchant vessels. These were warships. Real warships built by a species that knew how to fight. Open communication channel said, I want to talk to their leader. Admiral received the transmission on her bridge. A face appeared on her screen. It was ugly by human standards. Gray skin, 4 small eyes, a mouth full of sharp teeth, but had seen uglier things. She had looked in mirrors after long battles. Unknown vessels said, You have entered space. Identify yourselves and explain your presence. This world belongs to the Empire. Smiled coldly. I am Admiral of the United Earth Fleet. We received a distress signal from this planet. We are here to help. Laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Help. They are weak creatures. They belong to us now. Leave this system or you will share their fate. I do not think so, replied. We came a long way to answer this call. We will not leave empty-handed. You have 37 ships. I have over 300. Your mathematics skills are poor, Admiral. Numbers are not everything, Commander. Let me give you some advice. Leave this system. Do not make us demonstrate why humanity should be feared. The communication ended, stared at the blank screen. Fear. He had never felt fear. His people were conquerors. But something about the human admiral's eyes bothered him. She had not been bluffing. She had not been afraid. She had looked at his massive fleet and seen nothing, like his ships were insects beneath her boot. Commander, his officer asked, what are your orders? Straightened in his chair. Hold position. Do not attack yet. I want to know more about these humans before we crush them. On the Guardian, turned to her communications officer. Contact the planet's surface. Find whoever sent that distress signal. Minutes later, a weak transmission came through. A blue-skinned alien appeared on screen. He looked exhausted, covered in dust and wounds, but his 4 eyes were bright with hope. I am Ambassador of Prime, he said. Are you the humans? Nodded, we are. We received your signal. His voice cracked with emotion. We did not think anyone would come. We thought humans were extinct. We activated the beacon in desperation. A mistake, a foolish hope. It was not a mistake, said gently, and we are very much alive. Tell me your situation. Explained everything. The invasion, the fall of their cities, the deaths of millions, the slavery that awaited survivors. As he spoke, his face grew harder. Her officers listened in silence. Some had tears in their eyes. When finished, spoke again. Ambassador, I need you to do something for me. Tell your people to hold on. Help is here. We will not let them take your world. But their fleet is so large, said. How can you fight them? Smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a wolf seeing prey. Let us worry about that. You called for help, Ambassador. We answered. Now watch what humanity can do. She ended the transmission and turned to her crew. All ships, battle stations, prepare for combat. The fleet moved into attack formation. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. 37 ships against 300. Ho watched from the Thunder's bridge. His heart beat fast, but his hands were steady. This was the moment. This was why he had joined the fleet, not for glory, not for conquest, but to help those who could not help themselves. All weapons ready, Captain, Min reported. Good, Ho said. Let us show them what humans are made of. Commander sat in her small shuttle as it descended toward the planet's surface. She was alone except for 2 guards. Admiral had given her a simple mission. Find Ambassador, establish direct contact, learn everything about the enemy. Was 31 years old with calm eyes and steady hands. She had trained for diplomacy her whole life. She spoke 7 languages and could read emotions across many species. But this was her first real mission, her first time meeting aliens face to face. The shuttle passed through clouds of smoke. Below, she could see the ruins of what was once a beautiful city. Buildings had collapsed. Streets were filled with rubble. Fires burned everywhere. They had not been gentle. Commander, her pilot said, landing zone ahead, I see movement, friendly signals. Looked through the window. A group waited in a small clearing. They were tall and thin with blue skin and 4 eyes. They looked scared but hopeful. The shuttle touched down, stood up and adjusted her uniform. She took a deep breath. Then she opened the door and stepped outside. The air smelled like smoke and death. Had never smelled anything like it. But she kept her face calm and walked toward the waiting. One of them stepped forward. He was older than the others, with silver patterns on his skin. His 4 eyes studied her carefully. I am Ambassador, he said. His voice was tired but strong. You are the human commander. I am Commander, she replied. Admiral sent me to meet with you directly. Stared at her for a long moment. Then his eyes filled with tears. You came. You actually came. When we activated that beacon, we expected nothing. It was a desperate act, a prayer to empty space. We never imagined anyone would answer. We heard you, said simply. We came. But why? Asked. You do not know us. We have never met your species. Why would you travel so far to help strangers? Thought about the question. It was a fair one. Many species in the galaxy would not lift a finger for strangers. Some would even use the situation for their own gain. Because you asked, she said finally, that is enough. Blinked all 4 of his eyes. He seemed confused by her answer. I must apologize. We made a mistake when we sent that signal. We did not mean to trouble your people. We thought humans were extinct. We thought the beacon was useless. Smiled gently. You made no mistake, Ambassador, and we are very much alive. Humanity has been traveling among the stars for 300 years now. We have grown strong, but we never forgot what it means to need help. She looked around at the ruined city, at the scared hiding in shadows, at the smoke rising into the sky. Tell me about she said, everything you know. Led her to an underground shelter. It was crowded with survivors. Children cried in corners. The wounded lay on simple beds. The air was thick with fear and suffering. As they walked, explained everything. The empire had existed for thousands of years. They conquered world after world, enslaving populations and taking resources. No one had ever defeated them. No one had ever tried. They believe in strength above all else, said. The strong rule, the weak serve. It is their entire philosophy. Then they will not understand us, said quietly. What do you mean? Humans believe in something different. We believe the strong should protect the weak. That power comes with responsibility. They see your people as prey. We see you as neighbors who need help. Stopped walking, he looked at with amazement. Your species is strange, Commander. In all our studies of the galaxy, we have never found anyone like this. We are strange, agreed, but strange can be useful. In orbit, the two fleets watched each other carefully. They had not attacked yet. Commander was still studying the human ships, looking for weaknesses, but Admiral was not waiting. She opened a new channel to the flagship. His ugly face appeared on screen again. You are still here, he said. I thought you would run after seeing our numbers. I thought you would be smart enough to leave after seeing our ships, replied. It seems we both made wrong assumptions. Growled, you test my patience, human. I have crushed hundreds of worlds. Your little fleet does not scare me. Then attack, said calmly. What are you waiting for? Hesitated. That was what wanted to see. They were not confident. They were confused. They did not understand why 37 ships would challenge 300. I am giving you one final chance, said. Leave now and I will let you go. Stay and you will die. Let me tell you something about humans, said. We do not abandon our friends. We do not run from bullies. And we do not forget those who hurt innocent people. She leaned forward, her eyes hard as steel. You attacked a peaceful world. You killed millions of innocent beings. You enslaved survivors for what? Resources, power, pride. For the glory of the Empire, answered proudly. There is no glory in cruelty, said coldly. There is no honor in attacking those who cannot fight back. You are not conquerors. You are cowards who pick on the weak. His face twisted with rage. How dare you speak to me this way? I am Commander. I have never lost a battle. There is a first time for everything, Commander. Ended the transmission. She turned to her bridge crew. They were all watching her with wide eyes. Ma'am, her tactical officer said carefully, was it wise to anger him like that? He was already angry, replied. I just focused it. Angry enemies make mistakes. On the planet's surface, finished her meeting with Ambassador. She had learned much about their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. There is one more thing, said hesitantly. They have ground forces in our cities, thousands of soldiers. They are holding our people hostage. If you attack their fleet, they may kill the hostages in revenge. Nodded, she had expected something like this. How many hostages? Perhaps 50,000 in the capital city alone, more in other locations. 50,000 lives, thought carefully. She could not let those people die, but she could not let the win either. I need to contact Admiral, she said. We will find a solution. She returned to her shuttle and activated the long-range communicator. Admiral's face appeared on the small screen. Report, Commander. Explained the hostage situation. Listened without interrupting. When finished, the Admiral was silent for a long moment. This complicates things, admitted, but it does not change our mission. We will rescue those hostages before we destroy the fleet. How, Admiral? They have soldiers everywhere. We have soldiers too, Commander, very special soldiers. Smiled and understood. The human fleet had not come alone. Hidden in the cargo bays of several ships were drop pods, and inside those pods were Marines, the finest warriors humanity had ever produced. Tell Ambassador to spread the word quietly, said. Tell his people to stay calm. When the attack begins, they should hide and wait. We will come for them. Understood, Admiral. And Commander, good work down there. You bought us valuable time. The transmission ended. Returned to and shared the plan. The old ambassador listened with growing wonder. You would risk your soldiers for our people, he asked, people you have never met. We would, confirmed, That is who we are. Sat down heavily, his 4 eyes looked at the ceiling. We have spent centuries studying the galaxy. We thought we understood how it worked. The strong take from the weak. That is the law of nature, but you break that law. No, said softly. We follow a different law, a better law, the law of compassion. She placed her hand on shoulder. It was a human gesture, but seemed to understand. Hold on a little longer, Ambassador. Tomorrow everything changes. The battle began at dawn. Lieutenant Du sat in the cockpit of his fighter and watched the countdown timer. He was part of the first wave. 200 small fighters would launch from the carrier ships and strike the fleet. Their mission was simple: create chaos, draw attention away from the drop pods carrying Marines to the planet's surface. Du was 26 years old. He had trained for combat his entire adult life, but training was different from reality. His hands were sweating inside his gloves. His heart beat like a drum in his chest. All pilots, this is Lieutenant Du, he said into his radio. Check your weapons, check your shields, remember your training, and remember why we are here. Innocent people are counting on us. The responses came back. 200 voices already, all afraid, all determined. The timer hit 0. Launch. Du's fighter shot out of the carrier bay like a bullet. Behind him, 199 more fighters followed. They formed into attack groups and raced toward the fleet. The enemy responded immediately. Weapons fire filled space. Green and red beams crossed in every direction. Explosions lit up the darkness. Du dodged and weaved through the chaos. His fighter was small and fast. The gunners could not track him. He found a target, a medium-sized warship, and opened fire. His missiles struck the hull. Metal tore apart. Flames erupted. First kill, someone shouted over the radio. But the celebration was short. 3 human fighters disappeared in a ball of fire, then 2 more. They had more guns than Du could count. Stay focused, Du yelled. Keep moving, do not let them lock on. While the fighters drew attention above, something else happened below. Drop pods fell from the sky like meteors. Inside each pod, 10 Marines waited in silence. They wore heavy armor and carried powerful weapons. They were the best soldiers humanity had. Sergeant 1 led one of the squads. She was 33 years old, a veteran of many training exercises. But this was her first real mission, her first real war. The pod hit the ground hard. The doors blew open. One in her squad rushed out into a burning street. Move, she ordered. Find cover. Soldiers turned toward the sound. They raised their weapons, but one was faster. Her rifle barked 3 times, 3 fell. All around the city, similar scenes played out. Drop pods landed. Marines emerged. The caught by surprise scrambled to respond. In orbit, Admiral watched the battle unfold. Her fleet had moved into attack position. 37 ships against over 300. The odds were terrible, but had something they did not have. A plan. All ships begin Phase 2, she ordered. Focus fire on their command ship, everything we have. Captain Ho on the Thunder acknowledged. His ship surged forward with 5 others, heading straight for Commander's massive flagship. They responded. Dozens of ships moved to intercept. Weapons fire hammered the human vessels. Shields flared and flickered. Damage report, Ho called out. Shields at 60%, Min replied. Minor hull damage, we can take more. Then keep pushing forward. The 6 human ships drove deeper into the enemy formation. They were small but incredibly tough. Their shields absorbed punishment that would have destroyed lesser vessels. Their weapons struck with terrible precision. Watched from his command throne with growing concern. These humans were not running. They were not panicking. They fought like demons, with perfect coordination and deadly skill. Destroy them, he screamed. Crush them now. More ships joined the attack. The human vessels were surrounded, but they kept fighting, kept advancing. Then Ho gave an order that changed everything. All ships, activate the Guardian Protocol. The 6 human vessels suddenly shifted formation. They moved to protect each other, creating overlapping shield zones. Any hit on one ship was absorbed by all 6 together. Their combined defense was incredible. And then they revealed their real weapons. Each human ship carried a single heavy cannon. These weapons were massive, taking up most of each vessel's power. They were called Nova guns, and they had never been used in real combat before. Until now. Ho targeted the flagship, Fire. A beam of pure white energy shot across space. It struck ship on the side. The shields held for exactly 2 seconds. Then they failed. The beam cut through the hull like a knife through paper. Explosions erupted across the massive vessel. Was thrown from his throne. Alarms screamed. Officers ran in panic. Report, he demanded. Critical damage, Commander. Engines are failing. We are losing atmosphere. Could not believe it. One shot. One single shot had crippled his flagship. These humans were not just brave. They were dangerous. More dangerous than anything he had ever faced. All ships retreat, he ordered. Fall back, fall back. The fleet began to withdraw, but the human ships did not let them go easily. They pursued, firing constantly. Ship after ship fell to their weapons. On the planet's surface, Sergeant One heard the news through her radio. The fleet was retreating. The Marines cheered, but their work was not done. Keep moving, One ordered. We still have hostages to rescue. Her squad pushed deeper into the occupied city. They found soldiers trying to execute prisoners. One did not hesitate. Her squad opened fire. They fell. The prisoners were saved. Thank you, an old woman whispered. Thank you. One nodded. Stay here, more help is coming. All across the planet, similar rescues happened. Marines found hostages and freed them. They fought soldiers in streets and buildings. They protected the innocent with their own bodies. In orbit, the battle turned completely. The fleet, once so confident, fled in disorder. Human ships chased them to the edge of the system. Admiral watched with satisfaction. They had done it. 37 ships had defeated over 300. It seemed impossible, but humanity had always done impossible things. Admiral, her communications officer said, Commander is requesting to speak with you. Smiled coldly, put him through. His face appeared on screen. He looked broken. His uniform was torn. Blood ran down his gray skin. You have won, he said bitterly. I admit defeat. What are your terms? Simple, replied. Leave this system. Never return. Release all prisoners in your other territories, and spread the word to your empire. What word? Humanity protects those who ask for help. If you or your empire ever attack innocent people again, we will come. And next time we will not stop at one fleet. Stared at her, his 4 eyes were full of fear and confusion. Why? Why do you fight so hard for strangers? Because that is who we are, answered. Now go, before I change my mind about letting you live. The transmission ended. The remaining ships jumped to hyperspace, fleeing as fast as they could. Lieutenant Du returned to his carrier. His fighter was damaged, covered in scorch marks, but he was alive. He had lost 12 pilots from his wing, good people who had given their lives for strangers. He would remember them always. On the surface, Sergeant One sat down against a wall and closed her eyes. She was exhausted. Her armor was dented and burnt, but she felt something warm in her chest. Pride. She had saved lives today, real lives, innocent people who would have died without her. That was worth everything. The sun rose over Prime. For the first time in weeks, it was not blocked by enemy ships. The sky was clear. The smoke was fatting. The war was over. Humanity had won. 3 days after the battle, Ambassador stood in the ruins of the council chamber. The room was destroyed. The ceiling had fallen in. The windows were shattered, but sunlight now poured through the broken walls, warm and golden. Behind him, Admiral waited quietly. She had come down from her ship to meet him in person. She wanted to see the world she had saved with her own eyes. Turned to face her. His 4 eyes studied her carefully. She was shorter than he expected. Humans were smaller than, but there was something in her eyes that made her seem larger than any creature he had ever met. "I still do not understand," said softly. "We made a mistake. We called you by accident. You owed us nothing. Yet you came with an entire fleet. You risked your soldiers' lives. Many of your people died fighting for us." Nodded slowly. The battle had cost them. 17 fighters lost, 43 Marines killed, 2 ships heavily damaged. Those were not just numbers to her. They were real people with families and dreams and futures that would never happen now. "They knew the risks," she said. "They came anyway. That is what soldiers do." But why? Why would they die for strangers they had never met? Thought about the question carefully. It deserved a real answer. 300 years ago, she began, humans were alone on a single planet. We fought each other constantly. Wars, hate, suffering. We almost destroyed ourselves. She walked to the broken window and looked out at the ruined city. Workers were already clearing rubble. Life was returning. Then we looked up at the stars and realized something important. We were not alone in the universe. There were other species out there, other civilizations, some friendly, some dangerous, and we had to choose who we wanted to be. "What did you choose?" asked. "We chose to be the ones who help, not because it is easy, not because it makes us rich or powerful, but because it is right. We decided that if anyone in the galaxy called for help, we would answer, no matter how far, no matter the cost." Was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke again, his voice filled with wonder. "Your species is unlike any other we have studied. They believe in power and conquest. The Trading Coalition believes in profit. The Galactic Union believes in rules and procedures. But you believe in something we do not have a word for. We call it compassion," said, "or sometimes simply caring." "Caring," repeated, a simple word for something so powerful. Commander and Captain Ho arrived at the council chamber. They had been overseeing relief operations across the planet. Human ships were bringing food, medicine, and supplies. Engineers were helping rebuild damaged infrastructure. Doctors were treating the wounded. "Admiral," reported, "all hostages have been rescued. The ground forces have surrendered or fled. We have established refugee centers in 12 locations." "Good work," said. "What about the other colonies?" "We are receiving reports now. It seems they are withdrawing from all territories. Commander has apparently spread the word about us." Ho smiled slightly. "They are afraid now. They have never met anyone who would fight like we did. They do not know what to make of us." "Let them wonder," replied. "Fear of us might protect more innocent worlds than our weapons ever could." Approached Ho. "You are the captain who led the first attack." "I am," Ho confirmed. "Your actions saved millions of my people. How can I ever thank you?" Ho shook his head. "No thanks are needed. We did what was necessary, what was right." Bowed his head. It was a gesture of deep respect. "You humans speak so casually of doing what is right, as if it is simple, as if it costs nothing. But I have seen what your rightness costs. I have seen your dead and wounded. I have seen your sacrifices." He lifted his head and looked at each human in turn. "In all my years as a diplomat, I have never met a species that would give so much for others. You are not just warriors. You are not just helpers. You are something new, something the galaxy has never seen before." "We are just humans," said gently. "We have many flaws, we make mistakes, we argue among ourselves, we are not perfect." "Perhaps that is what makes you special," replied. "You know you are imperfect, yet you still try to do good, you still try to help. That takes more strength than any weapon." A week passed, the human fleet prepared to leave. Their mission was complete, they were safe, they had fled. There was no more reason to stay. But before they left, organized a ceremony. Every surviving gathered in the largest open area of the capital city. Millions of people, all come to say goodbye. Admiral, Commander, Captain Ho, Lieutenant Du, and Sergeant One stood on a small platform. They felt uncomfortable with the attention. Humans did not like being treated as heroes. They had just done their jobs. Stood before the crowd and raised his arms for silence. The gathered went quiet. "My people," said, his voice carrying across the massive crowd. "We were lost. We were broken. We called into the darkness expecting nothing, and light answered." He turned and gestured toward the humans. "These beings came from across the galaxy to save us. They asked for nothing in return. They expected no reward. They fought and bled and died for strangers they had never met. This is not normal. This is not ordinary. This is something we must never forget." The crowd murmured in agreement. "From this day forward," continued, "the will remember humanity. We will tell stories of your bravery to our children. We will teach them what you taught us. That compassion is strength. That helping others is the highest purpose. That no one is truly alone in this vast galaxy." He turned to face Admiral directly. "On behalf of all, I offer you our eternal friendship. Wherever humans go, we'll stand beside you. Whatever challenges you face, we will help. You answered our call. We will answer yours." Stepped forward. She was not good at speeches. She was a soldier, not a diplomat, but some moments required words. "Ambassador," she said, "people of Prime, we did not come for friendship. We did not come for alliance. We came because someone needed help. That is all." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "But friendship is a wonderful gift. We accept it with humble hearts. The galaxy is vast and often cruel. Having friends makes the darkness a little less frightening." She smiled, and for a moment the Iron Admiral looked almost soft. "If you ever need us again, you know how to reach us. We will always answer." The crowd erupted in cheers. Millions of voices rose together in joy and gratitude. That evening, the human fleet left orbit. 37 ships, minus the damaged and destroyed, formed up and prepared for the long journey home. On the bridge of the Guardian, looked at the planet below one last time. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, a world full of life that would have been enslaved if not for a simple distress signal. "Admiral," her communications officer said, "the crew is asking if you want to say anything before we jump." Thought for a moment, then she activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral. We came to answer a call. We fought a battle we did not have to fight. We lost friends we will never forget. But today, millions of innocent people are free because of us. That is the only reward that matters." She paused, then continued. "Somewhere out there, other species are watching. They are wondering who we are, what we are capable of. Let them wonder. Let them know that whenever someone needs help, humanity will come. That is our promise to the galaxy. That is who we are." She smiled. "Now let us go home. Our families are waiting." The engines hummed, space bent around the ships, and humanity vanished into the stars, leaving behind a world that would never forget them. On the surface of Prime, Ambassador watched the lights disappear from the sky. His 4 eyes were wet with tears. "Strange species," he whispered to himself. "Wonderful, impossible, beautiful species." He turned and walked back toward the rebuilding city. There was much work to do, but for the first time in years, he was not afraid. Because somewhere out there, among the stars, humanity was watching over them all.